yesterday, we have seen the importance of visualization. We have seen the exact idea why visualization, why graphs play an important role. Now, we might have also started with the basic Power BI description as well. What Power BI means, what kind of information can be done there. Now, as we have seen what Power BI, what are the features, the exact basic idea about Power BI. Now, the question arises, why only Power BI? Why not any other tool in the world? Now, apart from Power BI, there are many other tools. It might be Tableau, it might be ClickView, it might be MicroStrategy as well. So there are many other tools. So why only Power BI? Why not any other tool? So that is what the primary agenda for today's session is. We will compare Power BI with some other tools. We'll compare the characteristics. We'll compare the features of Power BI with some other tools. Now, what all other BI tools which are available in the market? This is just a basic, idea. What all tools are available? Every tool has its own characteristics. Now, somewhere you will also see there is an insights called as Hadoop. Hadoop is nowhere related to reporting, but it is just a BI, business intelligence tool, which will help us to process the data, which will help us to kind of big data analytics can be done using Hadoop. These are all reporting tools. MicroStrategy is reporting tool. Sisense is reporting tool. Tableau is reporting tool. The Zoho Analytics is reporting. Click is reporting. Power BI, anyways, we know it's a reporting tool. Now, apart from Power BI, there are some other business intelligence tools. Apart from reporting also, there are some other business intelligence tools as well. Now, if you take an example of Pentaho, it is nowhere related to reporting, but it's a ETL tool. There are few ETL tools which are also called as BI, business intelligence tool. Why? Because they are processing the data. They are helping us to write some logic. They'll also help us to extract. They'll also help us to write some logic, transform the data, and load the data as per our requirement. Now, any tool, if you take SAP also, more a kind of the ERP tool, the enterprise resource planning. Even these kind of tools are called as BI tools. Not only reporting, but as I've said, ETL, the enterprise resource management, even some tools which help us to which help us to manage the customer relationship management, the CRM related tools are also called as BI or business intelligence tools. So every tool which has its own behavior with respect to reporting, with respect to ETL, with respect to ERP, with respect to CRM, there are multiple tools in the market. Now, only we would consider reporting. Why? Because our primary data analytics role is for reporting the data, any data which we get from the sources. We need to exactly report how the data works, how the data can be interpreted, so that we can help our business make some good inputs. And with that inputs, the company can make the decisions where they are going wrong, where their business is increasing, or where they are lagging in the market. So all these BI tools are available, out of which why only Power BI? We would take all characteristics of Power BI, all advantages of Power BI today. Now, why only Power BI? One of the important reason is interactive, personalized dashboards and reports. See, this component is used for any tool which is kind of reporting. Even if you take Tableau, Tableau is also interactive. Tableau can also be used for creating dashboards. It can also be used for creating reports. Now, apart from Tableau, apart from Sisense, even Sisense is a reporting tool. Apart from MicroStrategy, why other tools are not considered as compared to Power BI is, okay, the information is real time, accepted. Even this can be a characteristics of any other reporting tools as well. But first, the most important factor is fifth point, which is cost saving. Power BI is the most cheapest tool and the most advanced tool which is available in market. If you compare any other tool in terms of cost, any other reporting tool, no tool can compete with Power BI in terms of cost saving. Power BI is the most cost saving. It can be, as you can see, the Excel integration without compare. So the Power BI is developed in such a way that Power BI engine is developed on Excel engine itself. And and I'm sure that people might be using Excels from their schooling days. Now, I'm not saying advanced Excel, but if you know the basics of Excel, also if you know the basic idea about Excel, that same concept can be implemented in Power BI. So it's a kind of Excel integration. The Power BI engine is called as Vertipack engine. There is a engine which is working behind Power BI. There is that engine is called as Vertipack engine, and this Vertipack engine is already a part of Excel, Microsoft Excel. For the people who are using Microsoft Excel, they might know, or even if you are not aware about that, Excel is developed on Vertipack engine. Now, that same engine, that same capacity, that same logic is implemented in Power BI. So most of the features in Power BI are similar like Excel. Even if you know basics of Excel, even if you know some insights related to Excel, that all concepts can be easily compared, easily integrated in Power BI. Now, one more advantage is frequent and consistent updates. Now, what do you mean by frequent and consistent updates? Every month, even though that updates are not that great, but still every month Microsoft is releasing few updates related to Power BI. And since last 2 years, if you see a track, all the updates are kind of totally different. I mean, none of the update would look similar. None of the update would look boring. Every update has its own characteristics. Every update has a bigger picture in this current market. So almost every month they are releasing frequent updates, which will help us to improve the processes, which will help us to make sure the Power BI is a market or market leader. See, if you get updates, if you take an example of if you're purchasing a mobile, now let's take an example of iPhone. Usually iPhone comes with 4 or 5 years of updates. Now, if you're using iPhone for more than 5 years, there is a very rare chance that updates would not come to that specific device. Now, that same concept goes with Android. Android usually comes with 2 or 3 years of updates. After 2 or 3 years, Android will never get an update. Now, if you're not getting update, there would be certain applications which are not supported. Might be your mobile would not be updated with your security updates. So if the updates are not available, the device is of kind of outdated device. Now, that same condition, that same concept can be used in your reporting tool as well, in your BI tool as well. If you're using a Power BI, if frequent updates are there, that means Power BI is in the market. It is going to stay in the market for a longer duration. If you compare with Tableau, Tableau usually has updates every 3 months. Quarterly updates are there. Rare chance they will give you updates on monthly basis, but usually quarterly updates or half yearly updates are there. And if you compare any other tool as well, monthly updates are not available. There's only one tool, which is Power BI, where all monthly updates are done. Some or other updates are available in Power BI. So you can use that current month update. You can upgrade your Power BI as well. And seventh point is functionality with Microsoft apps. I mean, this we can see if you want to connect Power BI with multiple sources, most of the sources are available of Microsoft. Now it's a kind of straightforward application or straightforward. Why? Because Power BI is also a product of Microsoft. One of the important point is collaboration and sharing. I mean, this is common for any other reporting tool. You can collaborate and share this report using Power BI servers once you publish that report. Now, the modern AI is also implemented in Power BI, which is called as Copilot. Now, there is a use of Copilot. Prior to Copilot, there was already an existing component in Power BI, which is called as Q&A. Now, name is Q&A. There is a component which is already part of Power BI, which is also called as Q&A, Power Q&A. If you type a question there, depending on what kind of data you have loaded, it will try to suggest you certain charts. When you have to mention the chart name as well, but it will suggest you what kind of chart is a good fit for there. It's a more kind of natural language processing. But The important factor to use Copilot, important factor to use Q&A is you should have a clean data, you should have a modeled data. The data modeling is correctly done. Unless that, Copilot and Q&A will not work. So for every AI, for every automation, there is a manual effort in the background. Unless that manual effort, no AI will work properly. So our data has to be correct. Only then the AI will come into picture. So these are some 9 to 10 different features, out of which 4 of them or 5 of them has a bigger role, which will impact the market. Why? Because cost saving, which is the most component or most considered component in any organization, frequent updates. That means every update will help us to improve their services. So for every update, you'll get some new, might be a new visual, might be some updated, kind of resources related to any specific visual. So this will help us to be a market leader. Uh, the AI functionality, the third important point, it can be easily integrated with any Microsoft application, the fourth important point. And the other points you can club together as the altogether 5 different points. So this 4 to 5 different points plays an important role for this Power BI to be a market leader. Now coming down to other aspects of Power BI, how do you compare this Power BI with some other Microsoft or maybe any other tools? I'm not saying only related to Microsoft. Even you can compare Power BI with Excel. If you want to have a comparison with Power BI, you can compare Power BI with Excel. Even in this case, Power BI will have a bigger impact. Both are developed on Vertipack engine. There is a Vertipack engine which is available in the background. So both are developed on Vertipack engine. Still, Power BI will lead as compared to Excel. So we will see few comparisons, not with respect to Power BI and Excel, but some other tools. Now, prior going to comparison, let's see the comparison first. Now, if you compare Tableau and Power BI, Power BI has around 36 to 40 default charts which are available. Now, default chart means if you download Power BI desktop and if you open that, defaultly you can direct get 36 to 40 different charts. You need not download any chart from external source. Now, if you want to use some charts which are not a part of this 36 to 40, there is a marketplace which is available. It's just like your Google Play Store or your Apple iStore, where you can download some external applications which are not a part of your device. So similarly in Power BI, if you're not used to or if you don't want any default charts which are available, you can still have a flexibility, go and download. There are around 350 plus different charts. This is 250 plus, but now it is 350 plus different charts which are available in Power BI marketplace. Now, if you compare with Tableau, default are only 24, probably it's around 30 now. The current is 30 default charts which are available. The current usage is, or the current scenario of Tableau is around 30 different default charts. And if you want to get some additional charts, there you have to write certain code. There you have to write certain code. Only then the Tableau will be able to get few additional charts as well. Power BI can be connected with 150 different data sources. Now, why 150? I might have kept 99 plus, but out of 150, there are around 150 data sources. Out of 150, there are around 70 different data sources out of which are part of Azure. Every component in Azure can be directly pulled in to the Power BI. Why? Because both are product of Microsoft. Out of 150, there are 70 related to Azure. The other 80 sources are part of some other additional sources. It might be your file storage, it might be your Excel, it might be some CSV or file, the PDF files. There are some additional storage sources as well. Not only Azure, there are some additional storage sources or data sources where you can use that as a source and you can put the data. But if you compare with Tableau, Tableau has around 90 different sources, 77 plus, but currently it has around 90 different sources. Now, Power BI has inbuilt ETL tool, which is called as Power Query. Now, we will see what all components are there in Power BI. But prior to that, let's understand there is an inbuilt ETL tool in Power BI. There is no inbuilt ETL tool. Yep, there is a concept called as Tableau Prep, which looks like ETL, but it is not a more a kind of ETL tool. Even Tableau has multiple options available. There is a Tableau Prep, which is similar like Power Query, but it is not completely ETL tool where you can somewhat clean the data. That's it, not nothing more than that. But in Power Query, apart from cleaning, you can do some multiple other things as well. You can union the data, you can join the data. These all options are not available in Tableau Prep. Only cleaning is there. Certain amount of data can be cleaned. But in Power BI, apart from cleaning, you can do multiple other options, which is, which all altogether is a part of Power Query. Now in Power BI, there are 431 functions which are available. Now, what do you mean by 431? These are all DAX functions. As of now, 431 functions are available. Now, people will have a question that would we need to remember all these 431 functions? No. If you remember 100 functions which are used on frequent basis, which are more than enough. But still, as I've said, Power BI has around 400 plus DAX functions. If you compare it with Tableau, now currently Tableau has 235 functions, almost half of the functions. Now, what these functions are used? These functions are nothing but your formulas. If you have your data, you can write a logic with that logic. Now, how do I write a logic? Logic can be written in terms of functions. You need to know certain formulas. If you mention that formula, if you mention the data, it will get that final output with certain logic. So if you compare Tableau and Power BI, here also almost twice the number of functions are available in Power BI. Now, the most important factor, these two components are in Power BI, if you have premium license, it might be premium per user, it might be premium per capacity. You can utilize 100 TB storage. Now, there, if you compare Tableau, okay, it is recommending you unlimited storage, but still there is a, limit in Tableau. It might give you unlimited storage, but $70 is used for 10 TB. Around 10 TB of information, you can use it for $70. If you want more than this, your amount will increase. Whereas minimum capacity here is 10 USD, $10, which is for 10 GB per workspace. But if you go with the premium per capacity, somewhere it would be around $20. Even for $20 premium per user, not premium per capacity, but premium per user, which will also give you 100 TB storage. So with $20, if you are getting 100 TB and $70, you are getting 10 to 10. It varies. The Tableau concept also varies. The Tableau usage also varies time to time. But even though Tableau is recommending you unlimited storage, but there are limits. For every limit, you have to go back and see what is the exact amount which we are spending. So in terms of costing, in terms of storage also, 100 TB is more than enough. Our reports, our normal reports will never go more than 5 or 6 GB, which is more than enough. So 100 TB, you can load any data, you can dump any kind of reports as well. And that too, there are two options, as I've said, three options. One is Pro, one is premium per user, and one is premium per capacity. Now we'll see the differences, what all licenses are available in Power BI, how storages options are there. But prior to that, we have just seen the comparison between Tableau and Power BI. Now, if I take one more comparison, Click, this is also one of the leading reporting tool. This was, I'm not saying is nowadays, because Click, many of the organizations are moving out of Click. One of the biggest disadvantage of Click is Click nowadays are not getting any updates. I'm not saying not at all any update, but number of updates have reduced. This is one of the biggest disadvantage. If you're using a click, usually after every 6 months or after every 1 year, 1 or 2 updates are there. Whereas in case of Power BI, every month updates are released. Now, let's come down to the costing price first. Starting from $10, we have option of $20 as well. And premium per capacity is different. It is $4,995. Now, where this premium per capacity is used, this is totally different. I'll give you a certain idea where this premium per capacity is used, but $10 and $20 is not much costing. Whereas if you compare with Click, it is $30 per user. It is per user per month, not per capacity or not per organization. This is per capacity. If you use Power BI premium per capacity, $4,995, this can be shared with 500 people as well. 4,995. So if you multiply or if you divide 4,995 or divide directly 5,000 by 500, so your zeros are gone into 10, it would be costing you around $10 per user. Premium per capacity means there is a certain set of people. If there are 500 people, you can directly share this. Whereas ClickView doesn't have any capacity, it has to go with individually $30 per user per month, which is costly. Now, installation process, I'll show you how Power BI can be installed. Within few minutes, you can download and install it. Whereas for ClickView, it is time consuming and complex. Okay. Now, storage capacity. Storage capacity also varies. 1 GB to 10 GB is for Pro. 100 TB is for premium. If you compare with Click, it is not even 1 TB. 500 GB of cloud storage. That's it. Not even 1 TB. Here in Pro and Premium, it varies. The Power BI storage also varies. If you want to store 10 GB per workspace, you can go with Pro. But if you want to store more than that, you can go with Premium, which is $20 per user. Now here 10 around 100 TB of information or 100 TB of storage you get. So that is drastic difference. And the other points you can directly compare. User friendliness, Power BI is one of the most UI friendly too. If you compare with Tableau also, Tableau is much complex. The UI is not that great. Okay, reports can be more interactive, but as I've said, UI plays an important role. If you download Power BI, anyone can easily learn. But if you download any other reporting tool, you have to first make sure every component is firstly captured. What that component does, you have to learn individually, and then you'll get certain idea about UI. So we might have seen the importance of Tableau and Power BI, how these two tools can be compared, how Power BI and ClickView can be compared. There is also one more important tool, which was market leader. If you go minus 10 years or minus 8 years, MicroStrategy. This was one of the leader. Every organization was using this tool. And if you compare options here, see costing, I might have kept lower. I haven't mentioned here. Even there is an option called as pricing, but I haven't compared the exact pricing here. If you compare any other tools, any other characteristics, any other features between these two tools, uh, MicroStrategy is used for large enterprises with particular emphasis on SMEs. Small, medium, and enterprises, you can use this. MicroStrategy, it is only used for large scale organizations because MicroStrategy is way much costlier. If any smaller company, if any smaller organization with 2 or 3 people want to use this MicroStrategy, they will never go with this. Why? Because it is more costly. Now, multiple options are there, multiple features are there. User-friendly or UI interactivity is more important thing here, whereas MicroStrategy is more complex. So, if you compare any tool, now we have only compared three. If you compare any other tool in the market, Power BI will be leader. So, because of this, there is an organization called as um, Gartner, which usually publishes the kind of report. They'll try to create a report, they'll try to create a graph that with this graph, among reporting tools, who among the reporting tools are leaders. Now, if you compare this quadrant, this was published in February 2015, a year after when Power BI was introduced. It was, the Power BI was introduced in 2014. So next year, the immediate next year, when in February, this Gartner have published a report or a quadrant where they are comparing multiple reporting tools. So if you see here, the exact idea is this quadrant, the quadrant one. Usually we calculate this as quadrant one, this as quadrant two, this as quadrant three, and this as quadrant four. So the flow of data is somewhere like this. So in the quadrant one, there are all leaders. If you see, Tableau is leading here. Tableau is leading. Nowhere other tool is comparing. There is a very huge gap. There is a very huge gap here. Next to Tableau is ClickView. Next to ClickView is Microsoft, which is Power BI. And MicroStrategy is also somewhere nearby Microsoft. If you would have gone back minus 10 years from here, 2005, somewhere here would be MicroStrategy. There was somewhere here would be Tableau. And there was no Power BI then. But back in 2015, Tableau was the market leader, and Microsoft, the Power BI was just introduced 1 year back. But still, it has been placed in leaders quadrant. But if you go back again, if you go back to 2023, which is plus 7 years from 2015, you can see the gap between Microsoft and Tableau has increased. The Microsoft here is the leader. Why? Because we have compared the features. With that features only, even Gartner tries to compare what all features are available, what is the costing, how Power BI is improving businesses as compared to any other tools. All these components, all these characteristics are captured. And if you see, MicroStrategy have been removed from the leaders quadrant. It is now just a challenger. Okay, ClickView has came down very drastically. Somewhere if you, it's 2023. If you see 2025, somewhere around 25 next year, ClickView will also be part of Challenger Squad. It will come down from leaders. It will come down to the Challenger Quadrant. Somewhere Tableau and MicroStrategy, or sorry, Tableau and Microsoft will only be part of leaders quadrant, and even Tableau will be somewhere down here. Power BI will remain same. Why? Because Power BI has multiple features. It will rule the market for next 8 to 10 years. There would be frequent updates. You have to upgrade yourself with Power BI. Power BI will never remain same for continuous 1 year. You have to frequently update it because there are many updates. There are many, usually we'll get monthly updates, but if you update yourself after every 6 months in Power BI also, that would have a huge impact. Now, this is just mere comparison by certain companies which are leader to compare, which are helping organizations to decide best market or best BI reporting tool. So Gartner does this process since last 8 to 10 years. Now, if I go down, even if you see the trend also, this is with respect to India. You compare any other country. If you're trending Power BI with Tableau, almost every part of India, the Power BI would be the leader. This would be trending high. Okay, there are some states where Tableau is also trending. Now, if you see ClickView, wherever these lines are there ClickView and Tableau are trending together. Here only Tableau is trending, but if you see, almost all other states in India are trending with Power BI. There's one state where it is Power BI with ClickView, which is trending. So this is just a mere trend. What is trending? Why Power BI word is used? How many times people search Power BI? So if Power BI is leading the market, people will search more for Power BI as compared to any other reporting tool. Now let's go forward. Let's see some more insights.
Yeah,
The history of Power BI.
One question with it. The 10 GB per workspace is very less, right? we generally handle terabytes of the data, right? So if you have 10 GB of data.
Now, to answer your question, now I would have answered it when I would have compared licenses, but I'll answer it now in there is a license called as Pro license. There is a license called as Premium. This is premium per user, right? And there is a license called as Premium per capacity. This is Premium per capacity. Now, Pro is $10, where you will get 10 GB per workspace.
Okay.
So you can create 10 different workspaces, it would be around 100 GB. If you create 10 different spaces, it would be around 100 GB. Right? Now, this is just mere comparison. If you go with premium per user, which is $20, in India, it is 2000. In Indian rupees, it is 2000, which we would be giving for you. So here, if you compare, it would be flat 100 TB.
Okay.
And premium per capacity is 100 TB, but premium per capacity comes with, as I've said, if there is an organization which they want to share this capacity with 500 individuals, then this is one of the cheaper option. This is costly if you directly look at individual level. $4,995 is very costly. But if there is an organization with 500 individuals, if you want to share that, premium per capacity is very cheap. So this is how licenses go.
Okay, thank you.
Now the exact idea, it was introduced in 2015. Prior to 2015, it was launched in 2014. The name was different. It was internally used by Microsoft. It was not publicly shared, but officially, what Power BI you see, it was introduced. It was might be they have came down to this market in 2015 July. Now, again, one more question you will have. If I go back, it was introduced in 2015. How come in February 2015, the Gartner have come down to compare this Microsoft Power BI? You will have a question that how come it was introduced in July, but in February you are comparing directly. As I've said, prior to July 2015, it was already been released, but not to public. It was released as a beta version to certain set of people where they want to use, where they want to test how Power BI works. Microsoft have shared this with Gartner to make sure you analyze, to make sure whether you want to place this reporting tool, which is in beta version, in a leaders quadrant or in a challengers quadrant. So Gartner have felt that this tool had a capacity to compare with other tools as well. So that is the reason they have placed in the leaders or complete market dominance quadrant. Even though this was introduced in 2015 officially, but it was shared in 2014 to multiple organizations just for beta testing. That's it. So it's a Microsoft product. There are only few companies which are mentioned, but if I specifically mention Indian companies, the best example nowadays is your election commission. If you're seeing election commission graphs, if you're seeing election commission, if you see the Lok Sabha elections also, election commission is using this Microsoft Power BI since last 2 years. Even the Indian in the income tax department, ITR, if you file these ITRs, income tax department, the finance department is also using this Power BI. Now, people will have a credibility question that whether am I saying right or not. If any of your individual, you have a friend, you have a known person in the income tax department, you have a known person in election commission who is working in the IT. There are some IT related roles in the government organizations also. You can always check with them because as I'm a part of Microsoft, these licenses, these tenants, I can see there is a tenant. There is a structure called as tenant. Tenant is nothing but name of a client who is using this Power BI, name of a client who is using a Azure. So there is a tenant ID associated and there is a tenant name. So with this, I can directly give you an idea. There are names like Indian Election Commission of India, and Income Tax Department. So I can directly get these names using tenant ID and tenant names from the Microsoft account. So that is where the Power BI dominance is. It has also reached to the government markets in India. Why? Because this is cheaper. If a government is spending $10, almost every government goes with Pro. Okay, if they want premium, they can go with premium per capacity, even which is cheaper, $20. It would be around 2,000 rupees, 2,000 Indian rupees. 2,000 Indian rupees for multiple reports is nothing much costlier. So almost every organization in current market are using Power BI. Now, why am I explaining this is, if you are working as a government role, maybe you are working with the government related roles, you are nowhere related to Power BI, still you can showcase your experience as Power BI experience. Why? Because every government organization, including private companies, if government is using, all other private companies will definitely go with the usage of Power BI. So if even if you're working in any sector, you can showcase yourself as a Power BI developer, even though you are a non-technical person. So that is the primary agenda. If you are working in any field, irrespective of any field, not only IT, but any field, they can, I mean, that specific organization, that specific experience, you can showcase yourself as a Power BI developer. Now, coming down to the next tab, how exactly this Power BI works. Now, just we have started the Power BI. Power BI has two important components. One is Power BI Desktop, where you can do all your development. This Power BI Desktop is a combination of multiple tools. There are multiple other background tools which are available in Power BI Desktop. We would be discussing one after the other. But the second component is Power BI Service. This is for development. This is for publishing. Now, publishing means if you want to share, you have to use Power BI service. If you want to share this report with multiple people, you have to use the Power BI service. This is for complete development and testing. So you can connect multiple data sources, any data source, even your web API can be connected. APIs, the application programming interface, that can be also directly pulled into Power BI desktop for development purpose as a data source. So make a note of it. There are two different components in Power BI. One is Power BI Desktop, one is Power BI Service. And in Power BI Desktop, these all components are present. These are all the components which are part of Power BI Desktop. Now, Power BI website is different. This is what the publishing sector is. If you want to publish anything, or if you want to share anything, here the Power BI website is used. But in Power BI Desktop, there is a component called as Power Query. Now, what does this component do? We have seen the differences in Tableau versus Power BI comparison. Power Query is a ETL component. You can do your transformations, you can do your cleaning, everything can be done in Power Query. Now, what does this Power Pivot means? If you want to pivot your data from row to column or from column to row, that means if you want to change your data from row to column or column to row, you can always use this Power Pivot. And this component is not visible in Power BI, but this is a already existing component. This is somewhere between Power Query and Power View. Now, what do you mean by Power View? Power View is where you can create your charts. All your charts can be created in Power View. Power Query is a cleaning component. Power Pivot is row to column, column to row conversion component. Power View is nothing but your charts where you can create your own charts. Yep, go ahead.
I think Power Query, Power Pivot, all these are all part of Excel as well.
Yep, Power Query is also part of that. Power Pivot is also part of that. So that is what I'm trying to say. Even Excel can be directly compared with Power BI. Both have been developed on the same engine, which is Vertipack engine. Now coming down, these three components are much important. Power BI desktop is a part of, if you compare Power BI desktop, this is component one, this is component two, this is component three. There is a component called as Power Map. Now, what do you mean by Power Map? Power Map is nothing but a map visualization. That's it. If you're using a map visualization, it is separately called as Power Map. This is component four. There is a component called as Power Q&A, which I've already highlighted while explaining the differences. Q&A is nothing but your co-pilot. Now the co-pilot is, I mean, with the latest update, it is called as co-pilot, but previously it was called as Power Q&A, and it is still present. So this is component five. These all components are part of Power BI desktop. This is used for publishing Power BI website. And there is also a new update. New in the sense, this update is available since last 3 years, but still it is a new update, which is nothing but your Power BI mobile apps. If you have developed a report in Power View where all charts are present, that reports, that charts are default available for a desktop version. But if you want to share it as a mobile version, there is always an option available in Power BI desktop. You can change from desktop view to mobile view. Even that is visible in Power BI. So with all these options which are available, Power BI is kind of leading this market presence. Now we will discuss each and every component detailed in our sessions, but just to give you an idea, getting started with Power Query, which is the first component. After Power Query, there is Power Pivot, which is second component. Power View is the third component. Power Map is the fourth. Power Q&A is the fifth component. So these all components are part of Power BI desktop. This. And to publish this report, you have to use Power BI website or Power BI service. Why? Because you want to share this report with multiple people. If you want to share this report with 100 different people, you have to publish it to Power BI service. So these are all the components. We will see each and every component in detail. Now what does this pictorial representation signify? This is the basic UI of Power BI desktop. If you download your Power BI desktop and if you open this, this is the basic UI. This is how Power BI desktop look alike. We will see how to download it. I'll also help you out. But prior downloading, there are few restrictions. Now, what all restrictions are? There are few disadvantages. I will not call it as disadvantages. There are few limitations with respect to Power BI. Now, we will see that limitations. What limitations we have. Now, out of all 64 or 65 people who have joined, how many of you are using Mac operating system or your Apple laptops? Apple laptops, Apple desktops. How many of you are using it? Or you have your Apple desktops or laptops? Now, if you're using Apple laptops or Apple desktops, it's a kind of bad news for you. Why it's a bad news? Limitations of Power BI comes into picture now. If you have your Windows, if it's anyways Windows 8, I'm not sure if you any individual is using nowadays, because even Windows 8 support is not given by Microsoft as of now. But still in Windows 8, you can download Microsoft Power BI. This Windows is nowadays not at all used. For Windows 10, there is an option. Yes, you can download. For Windows 11, current updated Windows, yes, you can download Microsoft Power BI. In all these Windows, option is there. Windows 7, if you're using, I'm not sure Windows 7 will support as of now. Earlier, there was a support available, but as of now, Windows 7 Home Office or Windows 7 Professional also, both the options have been disabled. No support is given by Microsoft. So there is no Power BI support as well. For Windows 8 also, I'm not sure if any individual is using outdated laptop, but still you can download Power BI desktop. For Windows 10 and 11, yes, you can use it. Apart from Windows, Power BI is not supported in any other operating system. If you're using Mac, no support. You cannot use Power BI desktop in Mac. Yes, you can use Power BI service. Power BI service is cloud. It's an online website where you publish your reports. Just to view your report, you can do, or you can use this Power BI service. And Power BI service, you need not download anything. You can directly go to your browser, you can search Power BI service. But in case of Mac, you cannot download Power BI desktop. Now the question comes, if you are using Mac, how can you use this Power BI desktop? Just to make sure, how can we use this? How can we download and practice? There are two options again here. If you're using a Mac or any other operating system, I'm not sure if any other operating system people are using, your Linux, your DOS, it's a kind of older or outdated systems, not at all recommended for Power BI related services. But if you're using a Mac, um, either you have to download virtual space. Now, what do you mean by virtual space? It will act like a VM. It will act like a VM, an additional VM. In this virtual space, there are multiple options. Virtual space windows. If you want to use it on Mac, you have to download virtual space windows, where whatever virtual space you are using, whatever virtual space you are running, uh, it will run like a Windows. It is just an application. You have to download this virtual space or VM, virtual machine-like application, where a Windows operating system would be downloaded in the background. You can utilize it for downloading Power BI and usage of Power BI. That's it, nothing more than that. And here, there are multiple options. You personally have to go back and see which VM or which virtual space is best fit for your Mac. Now, someone has a question. I'm facing problem when I run this app in the laptop. Okay. So you have a Mac, it seems, right? So Deshmita, you have posted a question that I'm facing a problem when I run this app in my laptop. So what kind of app? It's a Power BI desktop or it's a virtual space?
Power BI desktop.
Okay, now okay, Power BI desktop, no problem. I'll help you out. Why it is running, I mean, why the computer is getting hanged, that also I'll help you out. So if you want to use Power BI on Windows system, anyways, Windows supported, there are few primary requirements. Minimum, you should have 8 GB RAM. Now, if this question comes into picture, 8 GB of RAM, if there are people with 4 GB of RAM, can we use Power BI? Yes, you can still use it. But how do you make sure that 4 GB RAM is also easily grasping this Power BI is? Recommended is minimum 8 GB. But if you have 4 GB, not a problem. If you are using 4 GB RAM laptop and if you're using Power BI desktop, close all the applications. And if you close all the application, that doesn't mean applications are closed. In any operating system, if you close anything, you have to end that task in Task Manager as well. Even if you close all the applications, there are few applications in the Windows which will run in the background. So in order to overcome that, if you're using a 4 GB of RAM, it is recommended to go to Task Manager. Now, how do you make sure you are going to the Task Manager? Click on Task Manager. This is how you'll go to the Task Manager. Here, if you see, even though I have few applications open, in the background, there are multiple applications which are running. Now, which of this application is of no use? Close that application. Here, in the apps, do not go with background processes. If you close anything here, it would be very havoc kind of situation. You would not know what you have closed. So try to close whichever application which is of no use here. Close that except Task Manager, because if you close this itself, this window itself will go. So whichever application you're not using, close that application. If at all you're using a 4 GB of RAM, only then the Power BI desktop will run properly. I'll show you how to download it, but prior to that, these are few primary requirements. If you have 8 GB of RAM, no problem. Even for 8 GB of RAM, I would recommend close applications which are of no use. Because if you're using a Power BI is a heavy application. So it will completely occupy 5 to 6 GB of your RAM. Okay, you'll get a buffer of 2 to 3 GB, but even for that buffer, if you open all other applications, the Power BI will definitely get stuck. And if any individual has 12 GB or 16 GB of RAM, more than enough, Power BI will run like anything. It will be very faster there. Now the question comes, whether 8 GB RAM is also feasible. Yes, my own system works on 8 GB RAM. My own system works on 8 GB RAM. I don't have 16 GB, I don't have 12 GB. 8 GB is more than enough. Anything more than 8 GB, it's your added advantage. Power BI will run very smooth without any problem as well. Now coming down, how to download this Power BI? From where you can download this Power BI desktop. Desktop is your development application. Development application we want. Now, how can you make sure this is the Power BI desktop? Now, how this is downloaded? I'll go back to the browser, open a new tab, mention Power BI desktop download. If you mention this is how it opens. See, the very first link which you'll get, download Power BI desktop from official. Click on this. This is the exact window where you can download the Power BI desktop. So make sure you're also following me. If you have logged in on your desktops, follow me. Mention Power BI desktop download. Go to the very first link, which is being reflected in Google. If you come down to this, there is an option called as, you have to select what kind of language you want. There are two options here. One is Power BI Setup EXE and one is Power BI Setup X64 EXE. Either of them you can download. I'm not saying you have to always download the first option or you have to always download the second one. If you download any of them, both will work. There isn't any problem here. The latest version is this. It was last published on 30th of May. You can see today is 11th of June. 11 days back or 12 days back, the latest update was released. So that is how frequent Power BI gets updated. Now, once you are at this application, once you are at this stage, click on download. That's it. It will download the application which you want. And as I've said, either of them you can download. Do not download both the conditions. You can download this or else you can download this. Both of them will work. Now I'll go with first. This will be downloaded. It's around 400 MB. Depending on your broadband speed, it will take time to get downloaded. Once you download this, you have to double click on the execution file. Now I have already installed it. There won't be any, if I again click on this, there won't be any change there. It will again ask you to reinstall it because I have already installed it in my system. Only thing is you have to double click on this, click on next, accept all. It would be automatically installed in your system. Once the download, it is done. Once you download this file, it is done. If you double click on this, I'll show you how to make sure it is downloaded. So I've double clicked on it. This is what it will ask you. Please close the existing Power BI desktop. This option you will not get. If you download it for the very first time, this option, this window you will get. I already have in my system. That is the reason it is giving me an error. So click on English, click on next, accept all. It will be automatically installed in your system. Once you install it, the only thing you have to do, go to your search bar, mention Power BI. If you mention this Power BI desktop, which is already installed in your system, double click on it, you will open this window. This is the window. Now, the most important question in this window here, you will not find any login. For me, it is logged in. Why? Because I already have credentials available with me. The very first question is whether you will be getting your login credentials. You will be getting your login credentials after one more week, not this week. By end of next week, you will be getting login credentials. Up till that, you can directly use Power BI desktop without login. There won't be any problem. There won't be any problem. Without login, also Power BI desktop works properly. Only to publish whatever you have developed, in that case, you have to log in. Now, once you open this, once you open the desktop, this is how it will look alike. Maybe you will not be able to see all these options because I have multiple reports at my end. You have to click on this blank option, which is new report. Click on this. This will open this window. Now, one more important question. If you have downloaded the Power BI and if these options, if you're not able to see the above ribbon bar anyway, you will be able to see. But here towards right, there is a data tab option available. There is a visualization tab option available. These options are available in the latest update in the ribbon bar. Here in the ribbon bar. Now, what is ribbon bar? What is visualization? I'll again explain it. But prior to that, if this charts, there are multiple charts which are available here. If these charts are not available here towards right, if this data tab is not available towards right, and if all these options are available above in the ribbon bar, in that case, that is the latest update. Even if you want to remove that process, not the update, you have to go back to the file option. In the file option, come down to options and settings. Come down to options. It will open a new window here. Now, in this new window, come down to updates. Let me see. Review features. Where is that option there? Shape map visuals, shape and recover, report and settings. This is Copilot. There is an option here where you can uncheck that option. If you uncheck that, your data tab, your visualization will come towards right only.
Are you maybe the report settings, visual options?
You'll get an option here itself. You can uncheck that because, see, I would always recommend to go with this view. This is the best view where you will get everything towards right, when which you want to analyze towards right. Towards left, you will get all this white pane where you can utilize it for reporting your charts and visualizations. So this is the best view. If you're getting visualizations and data in the above tab, that is more a kind of confusing. There, all the options are not enabled. Let's see again. Let me again go back. There has to be, because mine is not checked. That would be the reason I'm unable to see that. Here, there is an option. Object interaction, I guess. Hold the visualization pane. There is an option called as object interaction. Yes, this one. This one. If you uncheck this in the preview features only, as I've said, in the object on object interaction, if you uncheck this option, it will come down to this view. If I make sure, let me see if I check that options again, go to preview features. Preview features, I make sure this object interaction is kept on. See, you have enabled one more features. You have to restart the Power BI desktop. Now, let me close this. I'll not save anything. Let me open the Power BI desktop again. Let's see how different it will look. This is how it will look. For few of you, your visualizations would be available here. Anyways, it is available in both the options. This is data tab. This is build tab. Now, if you click on this data tab, only then this data tab would be visible. Even you can learn with this, but this is more a kind of confusing. If you want to remove, this is latest update. And if you uncheck that object interaction, that doesn't mean you're going back. That only means your view would be changed. Your latest update will remain as it is. So do not think, but if you are unchecking this option, the object interaction on, that means you are going back to the previous version. No, your version will be remain as it is. There won't be any change in the version. Only the view would be getting changed. But I would always recommend to go with the default view, which is best because that view has multiple conditions, multiple options which are visible. See, if I try to click anything here, now I'm taking some of the visual. Let's take a table visual. And in this table visual, if you want to get something, you have to load a data. Let me get the data as well. I'm trying to get this data. I'll show you the basic difference between the older version UI and new version UI. Version will remain as it is, only UI will change if you uncheck that option. Right now, if I add from this sheet, if I add a data here, I'm trying to see there is an option called as format. Towards right, there are few icons which are available. One is data icon. If you uncheck this, data tab will go on. If you check this, data tab will be available. Data tab means whatever data you are loading, that table, all the columns are represented here. The next one is build option. Build is nothing but your visualization pane. If I uncheck this, build option is gone. If I again check this, your build option will come into picture. There is one more condition, one more tab at the last, which is format tab. Format means how do you want to format? If you want to change the size of these values, you have to click on this format icon every time because format is not defaultly enabled. Come down, change the, if you see, if I increase the size is getting increased, the text size. So that is one drawback. I'm not saying it as drawback. It is the UI is a bit complex to understand. But if I go back to the previous UI, I'll again go back, uncheck that object interaction option. If you feel comfortable with this, you can always go with this. But if you're getting confused, always go back, preview features. On object interaction, you should uncheck this option, click on OK. The thing is, you have to restart this Power BI. Now I'll make sure I'll restart it. I don't save, I will not save anything. Let this do. Again, I'll reopen this Power BI desktop. Now for the people with 4 GB of RAM, this Power BI desktop will boot certainly slower. So do not get in a situation that it is not loading, it is not working, there won't be any problem. If it is slow, just because of your RAM, it is slow, there won't be any problem. It will be running normally if you close all other applications. Now, if you see in this tab, visualization pane is there. Towards visualization, if you drag and drop any visual here, towards right itself, you will get a format option. Let me load this data. I load this data. Now both the errors would be gone. Now what it is trying to convey, you need to build a visual, select data to add some. Okay. Anyways, we have loaded the data. If you see, if I drag and drop a column here, if you want to format anything, that format option is towards in the visualization pane itself, the middle option, format your visual. This is further analysis of any visual. So this is more easier to understand. Why, rather than going to each and every icon, the icons are default present in the visualization pane. Format option is not separately kept. It is already a part of visualization pane. For every visual, there is a format option available default. This is for table. If I take this pie chart visual also, for pie chart also, there is a format default available here itself. So I would always recommend to go with this view, easier to understand. If you want to go with the latest view, I'm not saying latest update. Update is still latest. There won't be any change in the updates. Only view will change if you check and uncheck that object on object interaction option. So it is up to you which view is best fit, but I would recommend this view. Now in this view, what does the each component signify? Let's understand first. Now I'll again go back to the presentation, current slide. Now if I take this example, this is the ideal view of Power BI desktop. Whatever is there in the above bar, this above bar is called as ribbon bar. You should always remember the name ribbon bar. The above bar, whatever is kept in this above bar options, this is called as ribbon bar. Yep, go ahead. Someone has a question, it seems. Okay, there's no question. Now, once the ribbon bar is done, towards left, there are three icons. What does these three icons signify? This is a report icon. This is data icon. And this is modeling icon. Now, what does this icon signify? If you're in the report icon, you can do all your visualization. If you come down to data, you can view all the data in a table format. Whatever data you have loaded, you can view all the data in a table format. In the modeling, if multiple data sources are loaded, multiple tables are loaded, all the tables can be created relationships in the modeling tab. You can model your data there. So these three icons signify every component. One is reporting component where you can do your reporting. Second one is data where you can view your data in tabular model or table concept. Third one is modeling. Now there is one more icon at the last, which is DAX. In the latest update, there is one more icon, which is DAX. Now this is not an icon. This is new update. If you uncheck this option also, this option will not be available. I'll definitely show you what you mean by DAX. But these three icons play an important role: report, data, and modeling. Now towards right, this is data tab, this is visualization tab, and there is always a filter tab. Now for few of you, this filter tab will not be available. Why this is not available, I'll explain. This is not checked in. That is the reason this is not available. Now, Vandana has a question. Can we get the recording? Yes, this is a recorded session. You will get the recording. This is also, I mean, this recording will also be uploaded to the YouTube. I'll definitely help you at the end. Now, what is the time? It's 9:15. Now, I'll take 10 more minutes and then I can wrap up. I'll show you how to access this recording. Now, how many visuals, default visuals are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 7 or is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not 7. 6 visuals here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 6 are 36 plus 37, 38, 39, 40. 40, as I've said, 35 to 40 default visuals are available in Power BI. Now, not and every visual is a kind of used on frequent basis. This is a paginated report. This is not a visual. This is Power Automate Flow. This is Power Apps. These two are, this looks like a visual, but these are nowhere part of visual. These are some external services which you can integrate with Power BI. Whereas all other visuals are default visuals. So out of this 40, there are 3 visuals or there are 4 visuals. Even this is metric visual. There are 4 such visuals. So around 36 visuals are used, are default visuals. The other 4 are kind of external services which can be integrated with Power BI. These are all external services which are also Microsoft service. Power Platform, Power Apps, your paginated report. Paginated report is an external service. It is a part of Power BI, but it is kind of external service. So we would be covering paginated report when required. But let's understand there are 40 default visuals, out of which 36 are visuals, 4 are external services. Now, if you are not satisfied with any of the visual which is available, there is an icon, 3 dots icon, which is available. You can click on that icon. It will navigate you to the new marketplace where you can download external visuals. Now, here in the white space which you have, this white space is called as Power View. You are in the Power View. Whatever white space you are getting, what is this Power View? In Power View, you can create, you can drag and drop any visual, you can drag and drop the data, and you can create your charts. This is called as Power View. And the first component, which when you download this Power BI desktop, it will always open Power View. This is Power View. Now let me come down to the Power BI. This is our Power View. For the people who doesn't have this filter tab, in the above ribbon bar, there is an option called as View. Click on this view. In this view, there are options called as Show Panes. In that panes, default, sometimes filter option would not be enabled. If you want to enable it, click on this filter option. you will get this filter option enabled. Now there is a very specific use case of this filter. We will try to discuss it, but make sure your filter option is always enabled. If you have downloaded, if this filter option is not enabled, in the ribbon bar, go to view option. This is how it will look alike. Click on this filter option, you will get this filter option enabled. There are multiple other options also. If I click on selection, see selection option is also enabled. If I click on bookmark, bookmark option is also enabled. If I click on sync slicers, sync slicer option is also enabled. So for us, every option is not required. Bookmarks are required when we discuss it. Selection is required when we discuss it. Sync slicers are required when we discuss it. But for now, all these options are not enabled. This is not required. So uncheck this. Only filter option should be enabled. If at all it is defaultly enabled, well and good. If not, go to view, enable this filter option. Now, let me come down to the home tab again. This is Power View. Now, what do you mean by Power Query? If I click in the home tab, in the queries, there is an option called as transform data. If I click on transform data, it will open a new window altogether. You can see there are two windows. This is front-end view and this is back-end Power Query. If you click on transform data, it will open Power Query. This is your ETL tool, inbuilt Power BI ETL tool. In the Power Query itself, you will get an option called as Power Pivot. Pivot and unpivot. If I go to transform, here you will get options called as pivot and unpivot. You can see unpivot columns, pivot columns. So Power Pivot and Power Query are clubbed together behind Power View. Power View is the front end, Power Query is the back end, Power Pivot is between Power Query and Power View. This is Power Query. In Power Query, there are multiple options. There are multiple tabs which are available here. We will discuss each and every tab, how each and every tab, what all roles are available, how can you process, how can you improvise your data, how can you clean your data. Everything can be done in Power Query. Now, just an example, if I want to show as an example, the data which I have loaded, if you see this data, see, the data should ideally look like this. This table, the below table. If you see this below table, this is how it should look like. Software, real-time analytics, data visualization. These are all the column headers and every column has a value in it. I have loaded the same data to the Power BI here. If you see, the column names are column 1, column 2, column 3. That means Power BI engine is not able to understand that software is a column name, real-time analytics is a column name, data visualization is a column name. Below that, these are all the column values. Now, how this Power Query will help? There is an option called as use first row as headers. I want to use this first row as header. If I click this, you can see the file, the column names have come down to the exact place. These are all the column names and these are all the values present in the columns. This is just a cleaning of data. Power Query is very, very smart enough. Most of the times it will automatically take promoted headers. But if at all it is not taking, there is an option use first row as headers. So this is how Power Query will help us to clean our data. There are multiple options. If out of this 8 rows, if you doesn't want the last 2 rows, Domo and Sisense, if you don't want, you're no longer interested to view these 2 softwares. There is an option called as remove columns. Click on remove columns. Sorry, I have to remove the rows, not on the columns. There is an option called as remove rows. In remove rows, there is an option. Remove what kind of rows you want to remove. You want to remove first rows, you want to remove last rows, last 2 rows I want to remove bottom rows. How many rows you want to remove? 2, last 2 rows. That's it. You can see 7 and 8 are gone. And whatever changes you are doing, for every change, there is an option which is enabled here. You have removed bottom rows, applied steps. Somewhere if you are stuck, there is an option, there is a problem that I have dropped 2 rows, but I again want to get that 2 rows. You want to go back. Click on this cross icon, you will go back and you will get that data. So Power BI or Power Query is smart enough to capture all the steps. Every information is correctly captured. So this is the basic idea of Power Query. In this Power Query only, in this Transform tab, you will get Power Pivot and Unpivot options. This is Power Query, this is Power Pivot, and front end is Power View. We have seen three components. Now let's see the fourth component. Fourth component is Power Q&A or Power Map. Fourth and fifth. Now what do you mean by Power Map? If I take a map visual, there is a map visual here. There is a map visual here. This is Power Map. That's it. Power View only, if you take a map visual, it is called as Power Map. This is Power Map. Now, once we are good with this, if you want to see what do you mean by Power Q&A, in the Power View, double click on the white space. It will open the Power Q&A. This is Power Q&A. This is nothing but your Copilot. Copilot and Power Q&A both are same. If you type any question, let me type column chart. Column chart by. See, this Power Q&A is changing. Why? Because we have changed the data in the background. So whatever I try to type, column chart by data visualization. So it will automatically create a chart. Now our data is not that correct. That is the reason it is not creating a chart. Two things to cover. If your data is not correct, if your information is not correctly updated, see, even your Copilot, even your automation will not work properly. You have to manually go back and see where we are going wrong. The question comes into picture whether automation will take your jobs. You can see here automation is not even working properly. Why? Because our data is not correctly managed. That is the reason column chart or whatever chart I'm trying to perform, it is not getting created. Now let me type something. Table visual for data visualization. What it is trying to create. I've typed a question, but it is not unable to create any specific table. Yeah, it has created a table, but something it has not, it has only taken data visualization column. Okay, for data visualization, comma, free version, comma, software. Now the visual will look certainly different. See. So you have to type your question. You have to precisely mention what I want. This is your Power Q&A. Power Map, Power Q&A are all together part of Power View only. In that Power View only, all these components can be. Wherever you take a map visual, it is Power Map. Whenever you double click on the white space, it will open this Power Q&A. Now there is a visual with this Power Q&A also. If you double click on white space, it will open, or else if you want to open it from a visual, there is an option called as Q&A option. If you open this, even this will open that Power Q&A. Either this visual or else double click on the white space. This will open this Power Q&A tab. Now, there is a question from just one. What if I want to remove 2 and 4 rows? In the Power Query, what if I want to remove 2 and 4 rows? This 4th row, you want to remove. I'm trying to see how can I remove it. Remove top rows, remove bottom rows, remove alternate rows. Alternate means somewhere from which row you want to remove. See, if you specifically wanted to remove certain set of rows, there is no option. I only want to remove 4. I only want to remove 2. You have to go back and see what option is best suitable. Now the question comes, if there is no option to remove 2nd row and 4th row, what is the use of Power Query? There are limitations of Power Query. In order to overcome that limitation only, we are using some external ETL tool. Not everything can be done in Power Query. Most of the options are there, but still, if you want to do certain things which are not a part of Power Query, which can't be done using Power Query, in that case, you have to use an external ETL tool. That is the reason people or organizations are expecting every Power BI developer to either know one of the ETL tool. Most of them recommend use of ADF because it's a part and parcel of Azure Cloud, and you can directly integrate it with Power BI. In case of ADF, if you would have loaded, if you would have load this data, there is an option. You can delete from certain table where software is click, where software is tab. You can delete that second row and fourth. You can write a query there. You can write a logic there. Not every logic can be done in Power Query. There are limitations, but still Power Query is powerful ETL tool. It's still a powerful ETL tool. Yes, there are limitations. There are multiple limitations. In order to overcome that limitation only, external ETL tools are recommended. Now we kind of seen the importance. We have seen how to download it. We have seen all the components of Power BI, what all visuals are there. Basic idea about UI of Power BI. See here in the tab, you can see report view. This is data or table view. This is model view. And at the last, there is a DAX query view. If this option is not enabled, this is of no use anywhere. You want to write your DAX queries, you can write your DAX queries and you can run it here. But this is more a kind of not useful for us. If you want to uncheck, if you want to check this option, if this option is not enabled or if this option is enabled to you, check and uncheck. How do you make sure? Go to this preview feature again. In the preview feature, let me calm down. There is an option called as DAX query view. If I uncheck this option, click on OK, you have to again restart it. If you restart it again, this option will be disabled. If you want to check this option again, go back to that file option, options and settings, options, go to the preview feature. In preview feature, only most of the options are kept. Preview feature, global preview features. In the global tab, this is current file. Below is the current file, above is the global. Global preview features, come down. There is an option called as DAX query view. Click on OK. Now, what do you mean by table view? Whatever data you have loaded, that same data can be viewed as a table in Power Query. But if I want to view in the front end, this is the table view. In the front end also you can view it, but here in front end you will not get Power Query options. See, there are very limited options available in the ribbon bar. Whereas in Power Query, there are multiple options and there are multiple tabs as well. So Power Query is for cleaning, whereas Power View table view is just to view what kind of data is present, what is their data type. Only you can change the data type. That's it. You cannot change anything here in table view. And in model view, you can see a table would be visible. If I load one more table, you can create a modeling. You can create a relationship between multiple tables. Now, if I load one more table, only then this manage relationship tab would be enabled. Only with one table, you cannot create a relationship. You cannot create a modeling. If I load one more data set, this option would be enabled. You can create a relationship between both the tables using similar columns. Just like your SQL, for the people who have attended SQL, where we use primary key and foreign key, the same concept comes into picture, modeling in Power BI. Now we are good with today's understanding. For the people who have joined new today, let me give you some insights. This course is for Power BI Data Analyst. Duration is 4 months. SQL is of 1 month. Power BI is of 2 months. Azure is of 1 month. Now for this batch, for this current batch where we have started with Power BI, we are done with SQL. For the people who would be joining with Power BI, it is not recommended to know SQL. If you know, it's an added advantage, but it is not a compulsion. If you want to join directly, there are few people who already know SQL who want to directly join with Power BI. For them, this course is intended. Okay, if you also want to learn SQL, then in that case, there would be two options. Who are joining Power BI now, there would be two options. Option one is you would be given, you can attend SQL. You can attend SQL. SQL is common in any KSR course. You can attend SQL batches which are parallelly going. If there is some data science batch going on, if there is some data engineering, if there is some DevOps, if there is some AWS related batch going on. In that case, you can attend SQL. SQL is same in all the batches. You can parallelly attend with respect to Power BI. But most of the people that tend to get confused. If you are getting confused, once Power BI and Azure is done, you would be added to the new SQL batch where I would be the trainer again. I would be starting with SQL again. So there won't be any problem. Your SQL would be covered separately. You can attend both the conditions. Either you attend parallel SQL batches with some other trainer, or else you have to wait until completion of Power BI and Azure, and then a new SQL batch would be started. It would be added there. The timing is the same timing which we are now, 8 to 9:30 a.m. morning. There are no evening batches as of now, not even for next 45 days. Next 40 or 45 days, not even for now. After that, there would be a possibility there can be an evening batch, but we cannot guarantee about evening timing. Now, the fees for this course. The fees for this course is 30K. Now the question comes, why 30K? 26K is the course fees, 4K is your Power BI license amount. Now people will tell me that I don't want license, I can only go with course. No, that is not possible. Why? Because without Power BI license, you will not be able to learn Power BI. Because if you want to access some external charts also, if you want to access some external charts, if you click on this three dots icon, get more visuals. Unless you log in, you will not be able to get more visuals as well. If you want to publish this report also to the Power BI website, you need to have a login credentials. That means you need to have 2 months of Power BI premium. For that, your 4,000 investment is there. Now, the question comes, if I want to pay in installments. If you want to pay in only one installment, that is one-time payment. One-time payment, you will get a discount of 3,000. It will be around 27K, 3K discount. If you want to pay in 2 installments, it would be around 28K, 2K discount. If you want to pay in 3 installments, no discount. 30K, 10K per each installment. 10K each installment. Now, anything related to payment, either contact our team. They will help you out how to make a payment, or else there is an option. If you go to your browser, if you go to our website. Now, let's take an example here itself. Mention KSR Data Vision. If you click on this first application, see, this is our primary website. Now here, first thing is always signing. There are multiple courses going on. If you want to connect with our team, there is an option called as connect via WhatsApp. You can ping them, they'll reach out to you, or else you can directly come down. You can call on this number, or else you can click on this contact. Numbers are there. You can email us. If you click on this, it will navigate to the WhatsApp message. You can ping us. Team will definitely reach out to you that I want to enroll for this certain course, and I want to make a payment or certain updates you want. You can connect with your team, connect with the KSR team. They will definitely help you out. Now, first thing, if you want to access any specific course, you need to sign in. Click on sign in. It will open a new window. Now here it will ask you for sign in. You have to create your account. You have to create your account. Only then you will be able to access all these courses. Once you create your account, once you log in, this is how you can view how to explore the courses. Click on explore courses. The very first course is your Power BI free course. Today is day 2. For 5 days, you will get 5 sessions free. Click on this. Now it is asking you to buy now, but this course is free anyways. Click on access course. It will not ask you to buy. If you click on access course, this will be added to your bucket. This course would be added to your bucket. This is how the free course is added to your bucket. In the dashboard, you can see if you click on my courses, You can see all these courses are assigned to you. If you click on this course, the course which you have automatically added, the free course, you will get all this information. Even the course curriculum is kept here. Starting from SQL, what is covered in SQL, what is covered in Power BI, what will be covered in Azure. Everything is detailedly mentioned here in the course curriculum. You can see there are few SQL related YouTube videos also which are kept from our channel. The same videos, the same concepts we covered in SQL. All the information is kept. If you want to access the recordings, once you are in this course, go to the course class records tab here. In the class records tab, you can see today's recording. You can access it here. Now, yesterday's recording, let me see, where is it kept? Yes, I need to go back because today's 11th. Where is the 10th June recording kept? This is still in live phase. After 1 hour, you can see the recording. View recording option would be enabled. As of now, it is live. That is the reason it is in live mode. For yesterday's recording, I'll check with the team why this is not enabled. But there is one more option. That one more option is KSR Data Vision. We have a YouTube channel in our name. This is our YouTube channel. Now, if you go to videos, every day live sessions. Yesterday's live session is kept here. Day 1 live session. Today's day 2 live session, it would be automatically uploaded after 2 hours or maybe probably by end of the day. Maximum is end of the day. So you can access your recordings either by YouTube or else you can recommended is go with adding your course to your bucket, create your KSR account, login account here. Once you click on this course, this is how it will look alike. Go to class records. All the recordings are kept here.
Hi Ritesh.
Hey Sagar, yep, go ahead.
Yeah, in YouTube we need to sign up, right?
No.
Or else free
You
only.
can directly access. I haven't signed up. If I go to YouTube here, nothing I have signed up. Sign up is not required for YouTube. YouTube is free, no?
Okay.
Now, any questions related to this course? Okay, now the question also comes in Power BI. You can see this. If you navigate to the course curriculum, each and every point we have kept. This course curriculum, PDF format, each and every point which we are going to cover, all that points are kept. Now, apart from this, specifically, if I wanted to mention, everything in Power BI would be covered end to end, including 3 projects. I would be also sharing few data sets for practice after that 3 projects. SQL, most of the SQL would be covered, around 70% of the SQL, which is required for the data analyst. If you are if you're looking out for a data architect role, no, that kind of SQL would not be covered because data architect is kind separate role. It's a kind of more a senior role. And in case of Azure, what all services would be covered? In case of Azure, I would be covering ADF. I would be covering storage account, Gen 1, Gen 2, blobs. I would be covering Databricks. I would be covering SQL Server, how to create a database, how to access the database. I would be covering Synapse, and I would be covering Logic Apps. So 6 important services which are mostly recommended for a Power BI developer or a data analyst. And Synapse is nothing but a combination of all these services. So all these services would be covered in Azure. If you learn this service independently, every service is a part of Microsoft Fabric. Fabric is nothing but a upgraded version, or it is nothing but a combination of multiple services clubbed together in Power BI service.
So Ritesh, just to confirm, so whatever you're showing on the screen, these topics will be covered, is what I
Yep.
heard.
For Databricks,
Hi.
basic Python and Spark would be required. So I would be covering Spark architecture, all these components. Yep, go ahead. Someone has a question. Yeah, Reshu. Reshu has a thing. Yeah,
Yes.
Reshu.
Hi, Ritesh. I'm saying that for removing 2 and 4th row, right? Second and fourth rows, we
Mhm.
have to uncheck the ID column for
You have to uncheck the.
yeah, where this is showing the row. सॉफ्टवेयर पे रोज शो कर रहा है ना? Yes, yeah, on the software column. Oh, Ritesh, software columm side.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
On the software.
Software. This
Mhm.
right on the right side they showing the row, right? Row.
Mhm. Mhm.
Arrow. In the
This one.
arrows. Yes. Uncheck the any
See,
row,
this is uncheck option. This is not delete option.
but if we apply the transformation, then it
That
is not
option would be
showing.
disabled. Yes, that option would be
Yes,
disabled. Now the question
yes.
comes, very good. Now you have anyways asked a question. We have only, how many records we have? We have around 8 records, right? Now, if you want to uncheck few options, in 8 records, we can uncheck 2 and 4. Easy to guess. If there are 800 records, if you want to uncheck around 100 columns or 100 rows, sorry, not column, 100 values, will you go back and uncheck all these 100 values? That is a manual task. That is a manual task. Here we can uncheck it, but if there are 800 records, if there are 80,000 records, how would you do that? Okay, you can still search whatever values you want to uncheck. You can uncheck that. Even that is possible, but it is recommended to go back and use a powerful ETL tool. Power Query is powerful, but there are few restrictions. For that reason, there are some additional ETL tools which are required where you can manually, no manual effort is required, where you can write a query and delete that.
So can we write a DAX query or something, Ritesh, on the Power Query itself? Is there a query
Power
option?
Query DAX is available in Power View. You have to write a DAX here. You cannot write a DAX here in Power Query. Power Query automatically has all inbuilt functions. Whatever you do, see, if you click on this promoted header, if I click on this settings icon, this is a promoted header is an inbuilt function available. If you want to write a DAX function, you have to write in Power Query. Here you have to come, click on the data set, click on more options. There is an option called as new measure, new column. So new measure, new column is nothing but your DAX functions. Here you can
edit query. I see an option of edit query. Maybe we can just edit something there.
where is
On
this
the
edit?
same. Yeah, I
Okay,
saw.
okay, if this edit query will go back to the transform option. See, it is
Okay.
going to the Power Query.
Okay.
So
All right.
whatever functions are written, see, this promoted header is a function. There is an option in the home tab. If I go to advanced editor, all the steps are captured here.
All right.
Type promoted header. This is a function. Change the type. We have transformed the columns. Whatever transformation you have done, all the steps are captured here in the advanced editor. These are all the inbuilt functions. Whatever options you are doing, whatever conditions you have applied in the Power Query, that all conditions are captured in the advanced editor. Now I'll
So
explain.
basically, if you
In
want
simple
to
terms,
remove rows or anything, you're saying before we import the data set, you need to do that in the ETL, whatever you
yep,
do.
yep, you can do it in the ETL. Even the option which Reshu said, even that is feasible. But if there are 80,000 rows, if there are 8 lakh
Yeah.
rows, in that case, that would be a confusion. Number of rows are less, we can definitely do that. Now, anyways, you
So
have come down.
is there
Go
um
ahead.
is there any DEX function available for the deleting the rows in the table?
No option is available. Anyways, you are asking this question. There are two languages which are present in Power BI. One is data analysis expression, which is your DAX, which you can write it in the front end, which is in Power View. And there is one more language, which is mQuery language. Your Power BI engine itself will work on mQuery language. DAX is your writing manually. Whereas your Power BI engine, the Vertipack engine, which I'm trying to highlight since our start of our session, Vertipack engine itself is developed on mQuery language, which is mashup language. So if I click on this advanced editor, all this language, whatever functions you're trying to see, this is nothing but your mQuery. Multi-dimensional or mashup language, it is called as mQuery language. This is all mQuery. Now I'll also show you how to access multiple mQuery functions in further sessions. There are 800 plus mQuery functions. You need not mug up 800 functions. mQuery is
inbuilt language. Whatever you do in Power BI, automatically in the background, that language will come into picture. It is not recommended to learn. It is not recommended to remember. It is not recommended to implement also. The Vertipack engine is developed on M query language. That's it. Whatever you write in front end, which is your DAX function, it is for DAX function. You cannot write it. It is not automated. You have to manually write. Whatever DAX queries you're writing, it is not automated. You have to manually write it. It will not be automatically generated. So you have to learn that DAX query. Why? Because you are manually writing. Whereas M query, it is automatically generated. So it is not recommended to learn. See, we have already started with Power BI today, downloading of Power BI. We have seen the components. From tomorrow onwards, we would be starting with loading of data, what all components are there, how can you clean that, how can you make sure everything is done. So one by one, we would be starting. And for this 1 week, if you skip any of the class also, if you go back and check the recording, it would be easier to understand. Why? Because most of the basic level information we would be covering. Not we would be directly jumping to DAX, not we would be directly jumping to the where this visual is used, what is the best fit. No, that we would be learning one after the other. First, you have to make sure you are having a good hands-on this Power BI UI, the Power BI desktop UI, the development tool. You should have a good hands-on this. What every module is showcasing, what is the exact use case of optimize, what is the exact use case of this help, what does this insert contain, what does this modeling tab contain. So we would be going to see all these components first. Once you get a good use to, once you get a good picture of that, then we would be jumping to the visualization and DAX components. And as I've said, 70-80% of Power BI is code free. DAX is also 20%. That too, you have to remember formulas. That's it, nothing more than that.
Last question, Ritesh. So the classes are on just on the weekdays, right? Just to confirm.
Yeah, Monday to Friday, not on weekends. Monday to Friday.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, now apart from Power BI, we would be taking sessions on resume preparation. We would be taking sessions on agile project management. What do you mean by agile project management? How this agile methodology is used in the current projects. I would be taking, or we would be taking sessions on HR. There would be some HRs who would be taking sessions on how resumes are shortlisted. There would be sessions on interview tips and preparation as well. So HR related sessions would be externally taken. Agile, I would be taking. Resume preparation, I would be sharing around 10 to 15 resumes, which are frequently, or which is the standard format resumes. You can go with either of them. You can prepare your own resume and you can share it with the KSR team. So there is a dedicated team which is working continuously on resume related things. So if you create your resume and if you share that resume with the team will make sure that resume is correctly updated, information is correctly done or not. They'll make sure all the indentation is done and they'll reshare it back with the latest updates. For interview tips and preparation for agile project management, I would be taking sessions. How to prepare resume also, I would be taking a session. These are all external sessions and these sessions would be somewhere taken around Saturdays. Not every Saturday, but Saturdays 1 hour, around 9 to 10 or 10 to 11. You can attend it if you're traveling also, if you're going out for a weekend also, you can attend on your mobiles. That's it. Not recommended to sit ideal, make sure whatever I'm doing, that is not required. These are all non-technical sessions. Let's connect back tomorrow with the further continuation of Power BI Desktop, the Power BI development tool. Thank you, everyone. Have a very good day.